G'day, my name's Brett. Welcome back to the channel. Today I just thought I'd like to talk about some of the things I did before I left Australia to come to Thailand, and some of the things I did when I first got to Thailand. So one of the first things I did was I made sure that I had enough banking ability. So I have an account which is my main account that I use. It's an ING account, ING Orange, and it's, as far as I can see, it's a really good setup for me. Everyone has their own preferences, etc., but this one works well for me. It's called ING, I think it's Orange Everyday. And the setup with that one is, if you put $1,000 a month and have 5 transactions a month, you get free international transaction fees and you get free ATM wherever you are in the world. And the exchange rate is pretty good. It's one of the best I've seen. So I set up an ING account, and that's been working really well for me. The other thing I did was there's another credit card that I have, which used to be called 28 Degrees, but I think now it's just called Latitude. And the reason I got that one is because it had free Wi-Fi connected with it. So I think it was called Biongo or something like that. And there's these hotspots all over the world that you can have free Wi-Fi. Now, with that one, it is a credit card, so you have to be a little bit careful using it. I think the exchange rates are reasonable. The fees are pretty low, I believe. And yeah, so that was a backup. The other backup one I have is a Bank West account. That's a credit card, but I basically use that as a debit card. So I put more money in it than I'm able to draw out. So I use it as a debit card. I never let it go below the limit, so I never get charged any fees. So that's basically a backup one that I use if I ever want to put cash into, like gaming accounts or lottery accounts and things like that. So that takes care of the banking. The other thing I did was I kept my phone an Australian number, because a lot of the banking securities rely on sending a code to your phone. Now, because my accounts are all from Australia, I kept my Australian phone number, and if ever I need a security code sent, they send it to my Australian number. I turn it on to global roaming, get the code, then turn it back off for global roaming. Now, I've got a real basic account with Yamojo in Australia, and they're linked with Optus. So it cost me $10 Australian a month, but like what I intended doing was going back to Australia quite frequently, especially in the hot season, go back for a couple of months. And to land in Australia, I have my phone there, I have a bit of data, I can call people, I can use the data to get an Uber or Ola or whatever I need from the airport. So it's very handy for me to have that. Not so much at the moment with the situation. I haven't been back to Australia for over 2 years now. So yeah, the other thing I did was I had private health insurance in Australia. What I was able to do was defer that. So I don't pay anything at the moment, but if I get sick or anything like that, I can go back to Australia, let them know, they'll reactivate it, and I'm covered. I know in Australia we have Medicare, but I've always had private health insurance because it gives you the option of getting things done quickly and with your preferred health professional. The other thing I did before I left was I went to the doctors and I got all my prescriptions done. I have cholesterol and a few other things, so I went to the doctor, and he gave me these 6 months prescriptions. So I got 6 months worth of medication before I left. Now, my medication in Perth, in Australia, is reasonably cheap. But what I've found over here is sometimes it's not that easy to get and it's quite pricey. I get my medicines over here now through Facino, and yeah, it can cost you a little bit. So if you can bring 6 months with you, that's always a bit handy. The other thing is I also went to the doctor and I got a bit of a copy of all my medical history, and I also went to the dentist and got a copy of my dental history. The reason I did the dental history was I had I was halfway through a implant of a tooth. So they did the bit that goes into your gum, but they never put the tooth on. So I was going to get that done over here. So it was handy to have my records and what they planned on doing, so I can just give that to the dentist over here to get that finished off. Okay, that's basically what I did when I left, before I left Australia. What I did when I first got here was I landed in Chiang Mai and I decided to rent a car for a month. That cost me about 25,000 baht. I used it for a month and then decided I would buy a car. So to buy a car was relatively easy. I went to the dealer. All I needed was a certificate of residency, which I went to immigration and got one of those. I can't remember how much that cost. Some places, all immigrations around Thailand are different. So some are free, some charge you a fee. It all depends whether you're lucky or not. So I needed a copy of my visa page out of my passport, and I was able to purchase a car in Chiang Mai. I also opened a bank account. I'm with Bangkok Bank, and I've heard people say that it's hard to open a bank account. You have to have a work permit, all this sort of things. But when I was in Pattaya, I went to Bangkok Bank down there, and on a tourist visa, you could actually get a bank account. You had to pay 10,000 baht insurance to get it, but that's not what I opted to do. I ended up waiting until I got to where I have settled down, which is in Tak province, northwest Thailand. And yeah, it was pretty simple, but what I will say is that it always helps if you've got a Thai helping you do it. I didn't have any problems at all. Set up my bank account. The one funny thing that I did notice was you get a bank book with it, and I haven't had a bank book since I was in primary school. So that was a little bit strange, but I update it every month, and it does come in handy if you want to do a visa extension and they need a copy of your bank book. So I found that out. So that was a little bit different. I wasn't used to that, but it did work out all well in the end. The other thing I did when I got here was I transferred my driver's license. Not transferred, but I was able to take my West Australian driver's license. Oh, okay. Before I left, I got an international driver's license as well. So I took my driver's license, my international driver's license. I went to transport. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't much. It was like 200 baht. Might have even been that, 50 baht. And took my photo and handed me a driver's license. That license is for 2 years. And it's basically a temporary license, but allows you to drive in Thailand. My international driver's license was valid for 12 months, but I believe in Thailand you can drive on your country's license for 3 months and not have any problems. But I wanted to get the Thai driver's license. It does help with other things. It sort of acts as a form of identity, and it does have your passport number on it, so that comes in handy. I've just renewed mine. I now have a 5-year, basically a permanent driver's license, so that's very handy for when you want to show your identity. Okay, that's probably about it for now. If if I can remember any other things, I'll probably make another video on it. But yeah, just some little tips of what you should do before you leave, and what you should, or what you can do when you get here. Oh, yeah, sorry. One thing I did forget was before I left Australia, I took my name off the electoral rolls because we had some elections coming up, especially in my state, and I didn't want to get fined $50 for not voting. So I didn't want to get involved in postal voting and all that sort of thing. So I just took my name off the electoral rolls just to make it easier. Okay then, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, hopefully. Okay, cheers for now, bye.